Hello and welcome to our Lenten Reflections for 2022. I'm entitling these Lenten Reflections a Lent of Hope. And given the violence that we have seen erupt in the Ukraine and the ongoing violence in all sorts of other parts of the world, I thought it was important for us as Christians to look again at the idea of hope. St. Paul says that as Christians we need three things: love, faith, and hope. But what is hope, and why is hope important? That is a question that philosophers throughout the ages have been grappling with. So the ancient Greek philosophers looked at life and us as human beings and our different virtues and vices. And so they have this fable of Pandora's box, different things that come out of the box. Love is a virtue, anger is a vice. The one thing that never comes out of Pandora's box is hope. And philosophers argue, is hope a virtue or is hope a vice? And over the ages, many philosophers have argued that hope is a vice, because basically you tell somebody to have hope and then they can just sit around and have hope and not do anything, and then they'll never get anywhere in life. So actually you're doing them a disservice by telling them they should be hopeful. Other people have argued that hope is actually a virtue. So for example, the young Nietzsche argued in the early 20th century that hope is a vice. If you tell a poor person to have hope and don't actually show them how to do a job, then you're not really helping them in any way at all. Freud, on the other hand, living at the same time, argued that hope is an essential part of what makes us human. And he argued that every human needs love, hope, and work. But what do we as Christians say about hope? Well, in the Old Testament, the Bible is full of different references to hope. And the book that possibly has the most reference to hope is the Psalms. For example, my hope is in the Lord who created the heavens and the earth. In the New Testament, famously, as I said, Paul spends a lot of time looking at hope and argues that love, hope, and faith are the three most important gifts of the Spirit, which every single Christian has. So what exactly is this hope that we have as Christians? Well, theologians, psychologists, and philosophers have all agreed that you need to begin by understanding on what is your hope grounded. So what is the past in which you ground your hope? So for example, the psalmists ground their hope in God in the previous actions of God. So God created this beautiful world, therefore we can have hope in God and hope that God will create something beautiful for us tomorrow. Then what are the guidelines of our hope? So what is our present reality of living this hope? Paul spends a lot of time looking at that. So Paul is saying that hope should guide the way we act as Christians. We should live in a way in which we give generously to other people, in which we don't cling to things, because we live in a space where we know that God provides. So that is a hope, that is our guideline for how we live now. And then hope is always grounded in some sort of goals. In other words, hope looks to the future. So what is the future that we hope for? In the New Testament, a lot of the hope that we have in the future is in the eschaton. It's in the end of times and the coming of Christ and the emergence of this amazing new world that will come to be. But how hopeful or how useful is a hope in something that isn't yet and that may one day be, but nobody knows when? So as we go through these Lenten reflections, I'm going to unpack in more detail with you what a theology of hope means for us as Christians today, how a theology of hope has been used by different types of Christianities, and what it may mean for us in our present moment. But as I end this particular reflection today, my question to you is, when you look at your own life, do you have a sense of hope? And what is your hope grounded in? And what are the hopes that you have yourself? And ask yourself this question, particularly as we come through 2 incredibly challenging years. The years of COVID, and now this present moment that we live in the age of potential world war. Just as a little crumb for the future discussions, Jürgen Moltmann was a soldier in the Second World War, and his famous book, Theology of Hope, is written as a reflection out of his extraordinary experience during that Second World War. So however dark the sky may be, and you've heard the thunder and lightning going on while I've been making this recording, many, many Christians throughout the ages have believed in the God of hope, the God of good things, and that hope is transformative. So as you reflect on your own understanding of hope, perhaps that is something to think with. God bless, and I look forward to the next encounter.